Hey y'all, welcome back to my kitchen, or welcome if you're new. My name is Bethany, or Budget Bethany, and I like to share these What's for Dinners with y'all every single Sunday morning at 10 a.m. So this week's What's for Dinner theme is a back to school theme. My kiddos are going back to school and I need some easy weeknight, budget friendly meals to cook for them. So today's video is also in collaboration with Tiffany from Small Town 6. So after you get through checking out my What's for Dinner, head on over to her channel and check out her What's for Dinner as well. And I'll have everything linked down below in my description box so that you can just easily go click on the link and it'll take you right to her channel or her video. But let's get on into this week's What's for Dinner video, y'all. Alright, so we're going to kick off this week with a baked potato. So my husband actually smoked our Boston butt on the smoker, but you could also throw yours in the crock pot and it'll turn out just as good, or even your oven. So all I did was just cook up the Boston butt, shred it up, add in some seasonings and some barbecue sauce, boiled up some potatoes, and then I just throwed on the barbecue sauce on top of that potato, topped it with some sour cream and some shredded cheddar cheese, and dinner was served. On the next night, I made like a hibachi with quotation marks, air quotations, and kind of like a stir fry, I guess you would say. But basically, all you do is you need some olive oil in your pan. You're going to add in some diced up chicken. I think I used about 1, maybe 2 chicken breasts. Of course, you can use however much you need for your family, but it was just me and the kiddos, so I didn't need a whole lot. But anyway, I just diced that chicken breast up and I throwed it in the pan with the olive oil. I'm going to get that cooked up. As always, feel free to use whatever kind of seasonings that you prefer, but I'm using some garlic powder and some Lowry seasoning salt to season up my chicken breasts with. I bought these already sliced up squash and zucchini, and it just made my life so much easier. Didn't have to dice up any squash and zucchini. Of course, I paid a little bit more for them, but they were still, good. I didn't have to dice them up, so it worked out just as fine. I just threw that in the pan with my chicken breast. And then normally I would just use regular old butter, but my husband actually bought this home. It's Kerrygold garlic and herb butter, so I just threw that in there. I felt like it would be really good, and it was. Then I'm going to throw in a few dashes of soy sauce. You want to be very careful with this soy sauce, especially if it's not the low sodium kind, because you will have it super salty, because I am going to be needing some more in a little while whenever I add my rice into the skillet with the squash and the chicken and the zucchini. Then I just pop my lid on there and kind of let that cook on a low simmering heat. You don't want to cook it on full blast. And then I'm going to pour in my pot of rice. And I do always use, or not always, but most of the time I use freshly cooked rice that's still hot. But I do know that a lot of times I get recommendations on using already cooked rice that is cooled down. But like I say, I use this hot rice that's freshly cooked, and it still turns out just as fine. Now I'm adding in just a few more dashes of that soy sauce, but like I said, be very generous with that stuff. You don't want to go too crazy because it will be too salty, especially like I said, if it's not the low sodium kind. I would actually recommend you using the low sodium soy sauce. It just works out better. You don't have to really worry about it being too salty, because there's nothing worse than going to eat and just being super salty. But here's everything once it's all combined and mixed up together, and then I just plate it up, pour on some yum yum sauce, and dinner is served. next night, y'all, I just kind of throw together a lasagna, or I guess you would call it a lasagna. I just had all of these ingredients in my cabinet and I wanted to use them up, so I just browned up some ground beef. I got a pot of water boiling. I'm going to add in some lasagna noodles in there, and I do kind of lay them like one horizontal, one vertical, horizontal, vertical. That way they won't kind of like stick and be clumped up together. That's just how I'm doing them. And I also add some salt into my water while it's boiling. Right here I'm showing y'all the seasonings that I'm going to be seasoning up my ground beef with. I got some garlic powder, some onion powder, and some minced onion, as well as some Italian seasoning. I'm just going to dump that in there on my ground beef while it's browning up. And then I don't normally set like a timer on my noodles. I just kind of let them cook until I think they're done or they look soft enough to me. Then I just take them out and I put them in a bowl and kind of let them cool down while I'm finishing up with the rest, like the ground beef and everything. Once my ground beef does get browned up, I just pour in a jar of spaghetti sauce or marinara sauce, whatever you prefer. And of course you can use whatever kind of sauce that you like. I'm going to use the ragu kind just because I got that on a coupon with the Piggly Wiggly. If y'all watch my grocery hauls, you know what I'm talking about. I always get Piggly Wiggly coupons most of the time. So I'm just pouring that in there on top of my ground beef, and I'm going to mix that up, and I'm going to kind of let that kind of simmer for maybe 5 minutes. And of course I did add in some water into my jar to make sure I got all that sauce out. Once I get my spaghetti sauce and my ground beef mixed up together, I'm going to dump in a block of cream cheese. Y'all, I'm telling you, if you like cream cheese, you're going to love this. I'm not really a big ricotta cheese fan, so cream cheese was the way to go for me, and it tastes so good, y'all. I can't tell you enough. So I just kind of broke that up in there and let that melt, and then I just kind of mixed that in the spaghetti sauce and ground beef mixture. And then, like with any lasagna, you're going to start the layering process. So I'm going to start with some of the spaghetti sauce on the bottom of my baking pan. I'm just going to kind of make sure I get that good and coated so that the noodles will stick on top of the sauce and not to my pan. Then I'm going to go in with the noodles, and I'm just going to lay those in the pan. I think I do like 3 per layer, and then I go back in with some more spaghetti sauce and ground beef mixture. And I just keep repeating until I get it all used up. And then on top, I throw on some mozzarella cheese, and then we pop this in the oven on 350 for about 20 minutes, just long enough to melt that cheese on top, y'all. Alright, so instead of using like Texas toast or garlic bread, I decided I was going to use some of these Sister Schubert's dinner yeast rolls, as well as some of this garlic butter spread that you can find in like the Walmart bakery deli section. Just rub that on the yeast rolls, pop them in the oven by the directions on the back of the package, and this was really good, y'all. It was something different besides the same old, and that did go really well with the lasagna. Alright, so here she is when she was all out of the oven, and I did sprinkle on some parsley on top just to give it a little pop of green and to make it look extra fancy for y'all. But this dinner was really good, y'all, and I highly recommend y'all giving this lasagna recipe a try. next, I'm going to be sharing a lemon, lime, bell pepper, chicken, and potato bake with y'all. My mama used to cook this for me all the time when I was at home, and now I cook it for my kiddos, and I'm going to be sharing it with y'all. I think I shared it once, maybe one time in the past over here on my channel, but I haven't shared it in a very long time, and I have a whole bunch of new friends over here, so I'm going to share it again. So right here I'm just cutting up an onion, and I don't use the whole onion. I don't even think I use like a quarter, just a little bit of onion, just because my kids don't really care for onion, but I do like it in mine. And then I'm also going to dice up a yellow bell pepper. You could basically use any kind of pepper that you want, but I'm just using this yellow one because it's what I had on hand, but normally I would use a green bell pepper. Once I have my onion and my bell pepper chopped up, I just pour those in the bottom of my baking pan, and then I'm going in with my chicken. And you can use whatever kind of chicken you prefer. I'm using boneless, skinless chicken thighs, but you could also use chicken legs, chicken breasts. Really doesn't matter. It normally turns out no matter what kind of chicken you use. And then I'm just going to season up my chicken with some garlic salt and some chicken lick bam bam. And I was curious to know how many of y'all actually went and checked out the link that I linked in last week's What's for Dinner for the chicken lick bam bam, or if you maybe have purchased some for yourself. Let me know in the comments below. And then I went in with 2 limes, and I just squeezed the juice from the limes on top of the chicken and the bell peppers and the onions. And then I'm going with my potatoes, and I did wash and dice up, I don't know, several potatoes. Of course, you can use however many you need for your family. I just pour those on top, and then I'm going to go in with some more seasoning. I did go in with some more garlic salt, and I think I actually went in with some more chili bam bam at the end. Then I also go in with some lemon juice, and then I just top with some cubes of butter. So here is how it will look before it goes in the oven, and I just popped that in the oven on 350 for about an hour, and here is how it'll look once it comes out. But that's it for this week's What's for Dinner, y'all. I hope you enjoyed it. If you did, as always, don't forget to leave me a thumbs up, and don't forget to go check out Tiffany's video from today. Thank y'all so much for being here today, and I'll catch you all in the next one. Bye, y'all.